I want to talk to you guys about CanCat. If you've been following the story, I won't rehash it too much, just quickly to catch up anyone who's interested who doesn't know. There was a stray cat outside. I get stray cats from now and then where I live. I think people dump them here. That's actually how I found my cat Otis. And to be honest, I'm not really that much of a cat person, but I take care of all my animals very well, okay? So I've been seeing this cat ever since the beginning of summer of 2019. And I thought it was odd that I kept seeing her for so many times, because usually stray cats in this area tend to move on and move on. I did one day went outside and I saw she had a can stuck on her head. Poor thing. She was starving. She was very emaciated and she was desperate. So she went through my garbage, got a can of dog food stuck on her head. So I pulled the can off her head and she took off. A few days later, I walked outside my house. There's a bag of garbage sitting right there, which I know I shouldn't be doing that. That was a while ago, by the way. But I left a bag of garbage because I have bears. If you don't know, if you're new to my channel, there's a lot of bear videos. And there was something moving in the trash and it was daytime. So I just stood there and I was like, well, what is it? And it was that same cat with the can stuck on its head. So I decided I'll just call it CanCat so I know which cat is which. She's the only one I've seen actually in the area. Okay, let's speed it up. So I put out a shelter for her. I put out food only during the day. It was always eaten during the day, so I figured it was her and not a possum, yada yada yada. So anyways, on Saturday, yeah, that was about 4 days ago. Today's Tuesday the 31st. I put out a humane trap and I put a can of tuna in there, expecting to catch a raccoon, because I think there's a raccoon that is like demolishing my trash right now. And I needed to get rid of it. Left the house. Come here. Left the house with this guy. Came back about an hour later. Just happened to see out of the corner of my eye, I caught CanCat. I have been seeing this cat for months and months and months. And I caught her and I was like, panic. Okay? Panic set in because I'm like, what am I going to do? I had no game plan. I didn't know what to do. I wasn't expecting to catch her. So I know there are places that you can go to that are cheap spay and neuter for like stray cats, but it was the end of the day. I didn't know who to contact. So my mind went straight to take her to your own vet, Tiffany, because you don't know where else to take her. If you don't know, if there's something you don't know about me, it's that I panic very easily. I went to school. I was going to be a nurse. I went through pre-nursing. I did all those hard classes like chemistry and anatomy and physiology and I did all that. And I realized, you know what? Not nurse material because I panic. Anyways, so we took her to the vet and I called them and they're like, well, we can't take her unless it's an emergency because we're booked. I said, it's an emergency. She's in a humane trap. I don't know what to do with her. So I took her in, paid the extra money. And they did a physical, they gave her a rabies shot, they gave her a wormer and this and that. They weighed her, she's 5 pounds. She shouldn't be 5 pounds because she's a long-bodied cat. She's very skinny. I said, how old is she? They said she is over a year. She's a young adult though. She's not old at all. She's young. And she's also got a lot of missing teeth. And a lot of broken teeth. And I was like, oh my God, that's awful. Because if you've ever had tooth pain, then you know how bad it is, right? So I was like, well, can we do anything about her teeth? And they're like, absolutely not. That takes a long time. At this point, it was like later in the night. I was at the vet. And I was on an emergency visit. So they couldn't do a dental or anything. I was like, okay, well, can you at least spay her? And they're like, well, we're busy. We don't know when we're going to have time to spay her. I said, okay, well, can I keep her here like in a kennel and like pay the daily cost until you guys have time to spay her? And they're like, yeah, that's fine. They're like, it'll be $30 a day. I'm like, I don't care. Just keep her until you can spay her and we'll go from there. So they called me that night and like at 9 and they're like, we had time, we spayed her. I was like, great. they're like, can you take her home and keep her in the house until she's healed, and then you can re-release her into the wild? And I was like, no. I can't. Where am I gonna put her? I live in a small place. I have other animals to think about. I was like, why don't you guys just keep her? I'll pay the fee or whatever, and then we'll, you know, then when she's healed or whatever, I'll pick her up and re-release her. So they cut off a tip of her ear, and that night at midnight they called me to give me a, like, what's up with her, and she was doing fine from surgery, yada yada yada. Next day, 8 o'clock in the morning, they called me to let me know that she was doing well, and that they would call me again Sunday morning and Monday morning and so on to give me updates. Okay, great. At some point during the day, I had put on my Facebook if any of my local friends wanted this cat. You know, she's fixed, she's up to date on her shots, I will pay for her dental, blah blah blah. And I had a couple people say, well, you know, I'll ask around, but I didn't hear anything. And then, I don't know, just like something switched off in my head, and I'm like, I have to keep this cat. I can't, in good conscience, release her. By the way, it's snowing and it's really windy today, and it's so cold outside. I don't want to put her in a shelter, because who knows how long she'll be there, and it's stressful. And you know, I used to work at our local shelter, and it's a lot of story, but I just didn't want to do that either. So I looked at my husband and I said, are you ready to have a fight? And he said, why? And I said, are you ready? And he goes, I knew you were gonna do this. He's like, you want to keep that cat? And I'm like, it isn't so much that I want to keep her, is I just don't know what to do with her. And she could be like our cat we have now. She could be an indoor-outdoor cat, blah, blah, blah. You guys, I'm not a cat person. And I really want a black cat. And this cat isn't black either. I know that's such a shallow reason, but I like black cats. So anyways, he's like, I don't care. Because he's very like that. He's very like, whatever. If I said, honey, I'm bringing an ostrich home, he'd be like, okay, whatever. If I said, honey, I painted your truck pink with glitter, he'd be like, okay, whatever. You know, he's very that. So now I have CanCat. Do you guys want to meet her? Okay, I've had her for 3 days now. She's sequestered in Titus's old cage, crate, whatever you want to call it. It's a cage. It's the metal bars, you know, so she can see and stuff. I never use it for Titus anymore anyways, so I figured I could put it to good use. Let me go get her. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is CanCat. We just had an experience. I went to go pick her up, and she had poop stuck to her butt. So I had to cut that off, wash my hands. It was a whole thing. Anyways, this is her. And I don't know what this cat's been through with the whole missing teeth and being emaciated and whatnot. But she's pretty friendly, all things considered. I mean, she was starving, living in the wild, and eating garbage, and she went from that to getting trapped, to being spayed and taken in a car ride and meeting a whole bunch of people, and now she's in this house with animals. So, yeah, she's pretty nice. She is food aggressive though. Not towards me. I can pet her when she's eating. But if Titus or Otis is anywhere near her while she's eating, holy crap, she's savage. She's beast. So hopefully that's not going to be a huge issue. My biggest concern is her getting along with my other animals, because I don't want anyone to get hurt. Anyway, so January, well, this coming month, I have to take Titus and Otis for their routine physical and shots and stuff like that. On a different day, I have to take CanCat to get blood work to see how her liver and kidney and stuff are. I know, honey. We're going to put you back in a minute. And then in February, I have scheduled a dental to have all of her broken teeth removed. So, okay, I know. She's not used to being held for very long. But she's not biting, not scratch. I mean, and she did get fixed. Let's see if I could show you her spay. Right there, right there, right there. Yep. I know, honey. I'm sorry. And I do let her out a couple times a day whenever Otis is outside, or I sequester Otis in the bathroom because I don't want them to fight, especially because she's still in recovery from a surgery. And I do kind of regret having her ear tipped because she is gonna be my cat. I've been feeding her little portions, but often because, you know, she's so hungry. And the times that I do let her out of the cage, she goes directly for my other animals' leftovers. So, yeah, so we're working on it. This is a work in progress. We're gonna do what we can for her, and I guess she's mine now. Figures. I got another freaking tabby looking cat. My least favorite color, by the way. Just saying. Just saying. Anyways, thanks for listening to me blabber on and on about this stray cat that somehow entered my life. And wish us well. And pray for me financially because this cat, I don't want to like do weird flex or a oh pity me financially kind of thing. But it's not cheap, okay? This has not been a cheap endeavor. It has not been a cheap decision on my part whatsoever. But I just can't. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next year, I guess. And so will CanCat. Bye, guys.